You are not being punished by God or by karma or by life. However, there is such a thing as either karma or divine retribution, and something like that at least. And I felt like talking about that today, so here I am. You might, first of all, say that you don't believe in God, which is fine. The main concern here is that feeling we get when everything seems to be conspiring against us, and we have a plague of locusts on our lives. You know, the house burns down, and the wife leaves you, and you get a horrible, diagnosis or whatever, like horrible stuff, when stuff keeps piling on. Or everything was going great and then, a big accident happens or whatever. I don't have to paint you a picture. You had, hard times. So when bad things happen to hopefully good people, even bad people, we have a few reactions that we tend to have. So one of them is must be karma, or again, a form of divine retribution. And karma, this does happen. Okay, though the thing is that karma is not what we think it is. Really, it's more like a readjustment. It's more like if you've been creating an imbalance in the force, let us say, well, the force naturally wants to restore the balance. Life is about equilibrium and not wasting energy. So if all the energy goes to one place or in one direction, eventually life wants to reestablish again the equilibrium. So usually what we think about as karma is kind of like that. But that is actually not the topic of what I'm talking about here today. Like, the main thing I want to be talking about really today is that sometimes you get horrible experiences in your life, not because you're being punished, but because you've been living a life that wasn't conducive to your own best interests. It wasn't the life you were meant to be living, in a sense. There was something not quite true about it. Okay. And oftentimes these stories we tell ourselves about our lives, especially if we've been quite successful at it, well, we want to believe them. And quite often we get sent messages, plenty of messages along the way from life, kind of warning us that, maybe you should be, going back to those guitar lessons. Maybe you should be doing this, or maybe you should be doing that. And quite often we ignore those messages for years and years and years and years, and eventually, the house burns down. So that's often what's going on, actually. I mean, there's definitely a form of karma, if you like. There is also something which is collective karma, which we definitely don't want to hear about. We don't want to believe it's true. Feels unfair, I guess, but it is a thing. It is totally a thing. And sometimes you can't escape it. Though sometimes you can anyway, but that's a topic for another day. But the point here is that we can never be entirely sure why life sends us, terrible ordeals. But quite often, and particularly in this day and age, this period of history, The fact is that, Earth is in trouble, like the human race is in trouble, and it has dire need of as much help as it can get, Earth and life on Earth. And so all of us who have been stalling, and I was one of those people for a long time, well, we need to wake up now as much as possible, because we need to get on with doing the work, that we're supposed to be doing. And this can be pretty vague, actually. I mean, maybe it's just a form of energy, of groundedness. I mean, who knows? Who knows? But you can't delude yourself any longer that your comfortable life is your whole life, and that there is nothing beyond the comfortable beliefs you've gotten used to. We're being called upon to step into the unknown, and this is very frightening and very uncomfortable. And there is some risk involved, obviously. But at this point, again in history, there's a lot more risk in not stepping into the unknown, because the walls are tumbling down. The sea is rising. Okay, this is this is end times energy. Okay, this is fall of Atlantis energy. I mean, I do, and again, I don't believe in the big apocalypse. I just don't believe in that stuff. I think we'll be fine, but I think we'll be fine because my inner sense tells me that we need to wake up collectively, and that we will wake up collectively. And waking up collectively is not this, enlightenment on a cloud, new agey kind of thing. That's not what I mean. I don't mean, becoming gurus in orange robes or stuff like that. I mean, maybe some of you are called to do that, but I'm guessing most of you aren't. Yeah, what we need now is the creativity and the unique insights and the generosity, like the caring. And, we need people to, to clean up the beaches, and we need people to feed the homeless, and, we need people to, again, to listen to what their heart is telling them they should be doing, and then do that. And when we don't do that for long enough, usually that's when, we get a huge chunk of trouble delivered to our door repeatedly. And so no amount of affirmations will make those go away. And no prayer and none of that. No begging to God will make the dues go away. And the dues are what you owe to yourself. And what you owe to yourself is to be yourself, and the best version of yourself as you feel it to be. In the most, heartfelt, grounded way possible. Yeah. So it's scary and it's tough. But eventually, if we don't do it for long enough, the pain comes. And quite often, that's why bad things seem to happen to good people. Anyway, that was the main thing I wanted to say. If you're having a hard time right now, maybe something needs to break, and it feels horrible and unfair. And in a way it is. I mean, in a way it is. But maybe there's something in you that could only come out by having this hard shell broken. And this doesn't mean that, God hates you. Quite the opposite. Maybe it means that, God needs you. Yeah. That's what I think, anyway. If you want help with that, I offer that service. Link in the description. Yeah, take care of yourselves. Hang in there. I know it's tough. Hang in there. See you soon.